Hey, it's Paulo Brantz, Clear to Close Brokers. Hey, I just want to share some information with you. If you're on that fence of whether to wait out the market to see what happens with home prices or interest rates or not, right? So I think after this presentation here, after a few slides with what's going on in the market, you may or may not see things differently. But remember what my role is. My role is to give you the information so you and your family can make the best decision for you, not making decisions based off false information. So let's talk about housing prices. So today, right? So where are we at here? We're at April 4th. CoreLogic came out and said that home prices in February have increased by 0.8%. Now that's 4.4% year over year increase. But here's the kicker. They are forecasting a 0.2% increase next month. But year over year, and this is key, they just increased and updated this number to increase it. I think it was from 3.5% year over year appreciation to 3.7% appreciation. FHFA is up 2% in January, and Black Knight up 0.2% in February. So perhaps we're starting to see that home prices have found that bottom, especially as rates start to improve, and they're starting their back slowly, hopefully slowly, upward trend that most people are projecting housing prices to do over the next couple of years. But here's a nice little fact here. So since the peak in 2022 in housing prices, home prices are down by Case-Shiller says 2.95%, Black Knight says 2.6%, FHFA, that's 0.6%, and CoreLogic has housing decreasing since the peak of the housing market, 1.6%. Now, this is a far cry than what the media is trying to grab your attention and say that there's a market crash, that there's a crash. I've heard that so many times. I don't see any crash in these numbers. In fact, if you take a look, the highest number of Case-Shiller, that's 2.95% decrease in housing prices. The main difference with Case-Shiller and let's say FHFA is Case-Shiller includes cash buyers, which if you look at who the cash buyers are, they're usually getting houses for a little bit less than people with loans, or they're buying houses that are not lendable, which by nature are going to be less than the average of the neighborhood. Here's another one for you, up 116% in the past 10 years, up 40% in the 2 years prior to the peak. Far cry. All right, let me move my big head here. So here is CoreLogic's trend. This is the Case-Shiller, home price index. This is how much they've actually grew since 2013. Now, the reason I share with you this slide is that almost all points since 2013 all the way till today, the media is trying to get you that there is a housing crash coming. I mean, we haven't even talked about the minimal number of foreclosures out there, the tons of equity people have. You guys, I'm sorry. I want you to buy a house for cheap, for less. I just don't see it. I don't see it coming. Here's another reason why. All right, shelter costs are lagging. So what does that have to do with the housing market? Well, let's think about this. Right? So you have a house out there and you have people putting offers on it. Now, what they are able to offer is really determined by how much they can get approved for and how much how much they can pay per month. What I've seen just in this limited window over the last 6 months is that when rates dipped and then they went back up for a while there, they were in the mid fives. It was a really small window, but when that happened, it was like a floodgate of people went out there and just made all these offers because the housing was more affordable. Let me give you this really interesting statistic. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had a client that was putting an offer on a price of $750. If they put that same offer in today, because rates have improved since that time, to keep their same payment they had for 3 to 4 weeks ago, they can today offer $809,000. That's a $59,000 increase in buying power as a result of interest rates declining. All right, so now you get the picture. What does shelter costs have to do with interest rates? All right, one more little story, then we'll get to it. The kryptonite to 30-year fixed rates is inflation. As we see inflation start to decline, you're going to see interest rates start to improve. A major factor of inflation is shelter costs. But the problem with shelter costs is it's not determined by today's cost. It's actually a look back of like 12 to 13 months of what the costs were back then, and then it averages it out. And so we have this artificially high number of shelter costs being used today to calculate inflation. And as you see in that hump in apartment list rent year over year change, we are actually working our way down that slope. So as the months start progressing, you are going to start seeing shelter costs get lower and lower and lower simply because of how it's calculated, which is going to make inflation, that's right, lower, lower, and lower, which is going to improve, and which is going to do the same thing with interest rates. It's going to be lower, lower, and lower. Let's go back to my friend. If rates drop another 0.25% to 0.75% to 0.5%, that's another $50,000 in their buying power. So buying power is up. More people are out that couldn't qualify before bidding on that same house. Not to mention, California just came out with that shared appreciation program, which is putting more buying power and more buyers out there than ever. So, okay, so now we have more buyers, we have more buying power. But what about housing? How many houses do we have out there? Well, if we take a look at the active listings, active existing home listings in the U.S., I wouldn't call it an all-time low, but it is low. In fact, year to date, last year, it was up about 17%. I think we're up about 12 to 15%. So it's that portion is declining simply because, think about it. If people want to move across the street or across town, get a bigger house, whatever, they have such low interest rates. Even if they have a lower loan amount, they may end up paying more simply because their rate is higher. So people just aren't selling. So now you have better interest rates, more buying power, limited housing. My friends, I don't see where else this could really go except for an upward push in interest rates. So remember what my goal here is. My goal is not to persuade you. It's to give you what the facts are, what's going on in this housing market. When I have clients right now putting in offers, they are multiple offers. I do not see the housing market crash coming. And in fact, in about a month or two, when that shelter cost starts really getting out of inflation numbers and interest rates start really improve, there's going to be a lot of people out there with a lot more buying power searching for a home just like you. Right now could be, I think last week was, to be truthful with you, but next to last week, today could be the best time to get out there, put an offer on the property. My head's getting lost here. Put an offer on the property, potentially get some closing costs paid for before rates go down and people start coming out. So if I can answer any questions for you about these slides, about anything when it comes to the housing market, would love to connect with you. Give me a call, 707-494-7017. Take care. Bye.